Welcome to our Speak Up channel. Today we are going to talk about mother's confession, the pain of abandonment, and the strength to carry on. There are moments in a woman's life that divide her story, before and after. For her, the day he walked away was one of those moments. The day he walked away, it started like any ordinary day. There was no warning, no heated argument, no slammed doors. Just silence. He walked out of responsibilities of raising the children. One moment we were a family, and now we are estranged. And with that silence, he left behind the weight of everything: the children, bills, promises, love, trust, and her. And in that absence, she transformed. This woman, once a partner, now a single mother, stepped into a role most wouldn't survive. She became the sole provider, protector, and constant presence in her children's lives. The next, she stood in the ruins, holding her children close, unsure what tomorrow would look like. Left with the children, she didn't have the time to fall apart. The laundry still had to be done, the children still needed dinner, the rent still had to be paid. And while he disappeared into a life of freedom, she stepped into a life of sacrifice. There was no instruction manual for raising children alone, no guidebook on how to smile when your heart is breaking. She had to learn on the go. How to stretch a pound into a meal, how to wipe her tears before the children noticed, how to keep going when she had nothing left to give. She became their world, their shelter, their peace, their only parent. While she was walking children to school in the rain, he plastered social media with a smile, pretending his life was perfect. Expensive restaurant, flaunting expensive designer clothes like a trophy. He seemed to think those images would hurt and break her. He thought displaying of his so-called happiness would sting her. But it did not. It made her stronger. He was wrong. His mission failed. Because to her, those were not the actions of a man. They were the cries of a child trapped in an aging body, or an old man still trapped in the fantasy of youth, flaunting his luxury while ignoring his children, showing off expensive holidays while paying nothing for his children's needs, and is gasping for attention and craving applause from strangers. She ignored him, blocked all the gossips brought to her, and focused on raising her children with dignity, compassion, and respect. And while he chased fantasy, she built a future for her children. She focused on raising children who felt loved, and grounded children. And she did it all while carrying the weight he abandoned. Because to her, motherhood wasn't about appearances, it was about legacy. There were times she cried in the bathroom with the water running, so no one would hear. There were times when she had little money and 4 mouths to feed. But somehow, every time she reached the end of her strength, grace met her. She leaned on her faith when there was nothing else to hold on. While he lived lavishly, she lived by faith, and God never failed her. When the bills were due, a random job came through. When she felt empty, Scripture reminded her, I will never leave you nor forsake you. She wasn't just surviving, she was being carried by God. She was the mom who stayed up through illness, the one who attended school visits, the one who did all the shopping, the one who made miracle out of nothing. That is strength, not just survival. He thought walking away would destroy her, but it didn't. It awakened her. As the years passed, the children started to ask questions. Why doesn't Daddy call? Why didn't he come to my play? Does he love us? But he was busy, Dad, to himself. But slowly they began to see who was there and who wasn't, who showed up, who stood strong, who wiped their tears, who knew their favorite food and the songs that made them smile. And one day they stopped asking. She did not just survive abandonment, she became something more. Wiser, stronger, more compassionate. She discovered a version of herself that only hardship could reveal. She will stand proudly, knowing she gave everything she had. She fought for her children. She shielded them from the pain they didn't deserve. And even when it felt like the world was against her, she stood firm in her faith. She learned to set boundaries. She found joy in simple moments. She rebuilt her identity not as someone's partner, but as a woman of worth. She created joy in places where sorrow once lived. She laughed again, not because life was perfect, but because she had made it through what tried to destroy her. He walked away, but she rose. He disappeared, but she remained. He focused on Fanta's life, she focused on her children. He flaunted his life online, but she built one with the children. And now she stands tall, not with bitterness, but with peace. Not with hate, but with healing. She has nothing to prove because her life, her children, and her quiet strength say it all. She was never alone because God stood where a man walked out. And with God on her side, she did not fall. She never will. Please subscribe, share, and like our video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.